Second MLS game, what a crowd. That's Floyd Money Mayweather in the house to watch Lionel Messi and Inter Miami against Nashville. How about this pass, Herculez Gomez?
How does he see that? That's ridiculous, and Jordi Alba makes a meal of it. I mean, it's between 4 players and his own. I don't know how he saw that. It should have ended up in the back of the net, does not.
Later on in the first half, more from Messi. Finding Robert Taylor. Just fires over the bar.
Yeah, I want you to watch Messi, his reactions.
He wanted the ball back, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Messi finds Taylor again. His shot out of bounds.
Watch
Actually took
Messi.
a deflection.
Watch Messi. It's out of bounds deflection, but it's setting. The frustration is setting for Messi there.
All right, so scoreless at the half between Nashville and Inter Miami. Nashville made a couple changes in the second half. Hani Mukhtar involved here. Again in the 66th to Jacob Schaffelberg. One of the other changes. Big save, Drake Callender.
Yeah, but watch DeAndre Yedlin. Meek just literally puts the afterburners on. A lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, okay, all right. Nope. DeAndre Yedlin, the burner. Late in this game, stoppage time, Messi on his right foot, Herc. Denied.
Are you not going to give Yedlin credit there? How about this? You know he's going to go to his left foot. Come on. Always to the left. Right there. Ooh, went to the right.
Messi getting creative, getting desperate at the end, getting frustrated. And it ends scoreless as Gary Smith and Tata Martino come together at midfield. Here's a look at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. That's where we find Inter Miami. Remember, they got to get up into that top 9. And with 10 games left for Inter Miami, they got 13 points to make up to the Chicago Fire. All right, Herc, feels like dropped points for Inter Miami here. Would you agree?
Absolutely. You're playing at home. You picked up a great victory against the Red Bulls in New York, away from home. Great victory. Puts you in pole position. Just keep winning. Just keep doing what you've been doing for the last 10 games. That's all you need to do. Get Messi in prime position, let your playmakers take over, and you do what you do, you'll get these points. That wasn't the case. They were frustrated. They ended up dropping points, 2 massive points that you need to take advantage of if you're playing at home. And now, given my calculations that I've done, 42 is the magic number. I know they have 3 games in hand, okay? I know they still have 9 points they can play with, but you're essentially talking about with 30 points to go, you need 22 points. You can only drop 8 points, and you know that Messi won't be there for 3 games. These were massive points that you dropped right here.
Yeah. There's no wiggle room, right? There's no wiggle room at this point. You figured you were at home against a Nashville team that was pretty heavily rotated, really, from the team you saw in Leagues Cup. And then on top of that, Herc kind of seeded Inter Miami at least the first half of the game. When Nashville doesn't put out Hani Mukhtar, when they don't put out Jacob Schaffelberg, I mean, those are, one, their best player in Hani Mukhtar, one of the best players in the league. And in Schaffelberg, one of their more dangerous players. This game was on a platter for Miami, especially in that first half. And that's why I think, Herc, you saw the frustration in the highlight. You see it there. He wanted the ball back. It started in the first half. It carried over into the second half. Nashville opened the door for Inter Miami, but for the first time with Lionel Messi, they just couldn't walk through it.
They couldn't walk through it, and a lot of that has to do with tired legs. Listen, Messi's 36 years old. Busquets in his 30s as well. Jordi Alba as well. They're playing every 3 days. It's going to be a lot. You realize that Messi could be a footballing god, but he shows signs of being human at this age, and it's a lot to ask for the Messi magic to be constantly on. His teammates have to help. You see the frustration seeping in. That's going to be a worry going forward of mine is Messi's going to realize he needs more help at his disposal. And that's what I'm talking about of how good somebody can be standing next to Messi. Messi will make a tree stump look good. Give me the ball back. That's all I need. Give me the ball back. Well, when the ball doesn't come back, you're going to get an angry Messi.
What's the how here, Herc, on how Nashville did this? How much credit do they get? How much credit or blame do we put on the pieces around Messi with Inter Miami? And then how much do we just have to acknowledge, to your point, is fatigue? I think this is 10 games as I've got it in 41 days. That's for a guy who was straight off a vacation, straight off a long season, straight off of a long World Cup, right? And on top of that, he's in his mid-30s. So clearly there's some fatigue involved, but how did Nashville limit Messi As best as anyone we've seen so far in MLS.
I'm glad you brought up Nashville. I didn't want to go this segment without just talking about Nashville and how gutsy of a performance that was. Nashville goes into this game, okay, with no Hani Mukhtar to start the game, no Sam Surge, their new DP, available, okay, he's got a knee issue, not available, and the two-time Defender of the Year, Walker Zimmerman, also is not playing. Dax McCarty and Nashville SC concede possession. They give Messi and friends the ball. It was 70% possession for Messi, 70% possession for Inter Miami. And this team, Nashville, in a defensive block, making sure there's nothing in behind the spaces that Messi wants to operate. And who's in charge of that? Dax McCarty. You had a 35-year-old against a 36-year-old chasing him around, making sure those pockets where Messi likes to operate and pick that ball up were non-existent. Those lanes where you could pass to him were non-existent. Listen, Messi gets the ball, pray. There's only so much you can do. He shows it in the highlights. He's going to find passes. He's going to see lanes that nobody else can and nobody else does. That's just what you get with Messi. But if you can make the rest of the team to try and beat you, that's the key. That's what you do. Jordi Alba, perfect ball from Lionel Messi. What's he do? Doesn't finish. Messi to Robert Taylor. What's Robert Taylor doing one of those? Doesn't give it back. Messi to Robert Taylor and another one where Robert Taylor takes a bad touch and he has to go inside and the ball gets deflected. You make other players beat you. Because if you make Messi beat you, that's what he'll do. He'll beat you to death. Nashville, gutsy performance by Gary Smith. They just did what Nashville always does. They make it very, very difficult for you to operate, no spaces, and they'll just go transition game on you.
The first half was ugly. I mean, we can say that, right? The first half was very ugly. That was, I think, the point by Nashville. When we first started watching Messi and this Inter Miami team ping it around, Herc, I said the best defense here, and some teams are going to have to sacrifice their ego, is gonna be to do what teams did against Barcelona back in the day, and that's put 8, 9, 10 guys behind the ball. Especially in that first half, there were moments when the Nashville 11 was within 35, 40 yards of their goal. Now, what was a surprise was that they totally changed it in the second half, and it was, I might argue, even more effective because it allowed them to be dangerous and threaten Inter Miami. But I think Nashville has laid a pretty good blueprint here, right, for everybody else. Do you think this is something that other teams can replicate like Nashville did?
Well, you better have some horses. You better have a Schaffelberg. You better have Fafa Picot. You better have a Hani Mukhtar. Those type of players that when
two of those three weren't on the field in the first half.
You still had.
Huh?
It doesn't matter. You kept it what you needed to do. You said they look better in the second half, right? So you either need to weather the storm or you come back with something of your own. That something of your own is that transition game. Because Inter Miami FC, like you said, Barcelona, well, we'll sit 8 or 9 guys around that block of 8 or 9 guys that will just possess the ball. What happens when they're possessing the ball? Who are the players who are left 1v1? The center backs. That's why Kamal Miller had himself a game, because he had a lot of work to do.
You mentioned Kamal Miller. Somebody's been looking ahead in the rundown, because you also mentioned that Lionel Messi was frustrated. Apparently, Messi not the only player for Inter Miami feeling the frustration after the scoreless draw at home against Nashville. Here's what Miller had to say.
In the end, I just think it comes down to the little things, like maybe someone could have stepped up and had an individual moment of brilliance to break the score. It felt like that's what the game needed. Credit to Nashville. They executed their game plan pretty well. Now it's on us just to get back to the drawing board and figure out how to break down these teams, because probably that's what everyone's going to do just now.
All right, Kamal Miller with what felt like shots fired. Was he talking to Messi there? Maybe someone could have stepped up?
I'm sure Kamal Miller didn't mean it that way, but if I'm playing with Kobe Bryant and I say that in a post-game, like, man, if there was somebody to do something special to open this game up, like maybe they could have stepped up. What do you think Kobe Bryant's gonna, what? Seriously, what do you think Messi's gonna say? Like, what? Because if anybody's gonna come up and step up with an individual moment of brilliance, who do you think would be for Inter Miami? It would be Messi. So I could see why that may look like shots fired. Help Messi. Help Messi. Like, what's he need to do? What else does he need to do? 11 goals, 3 assists in 10 games. He's been at the foot, I would have said hand, but he's at the foot of everything good for Inter Miami. Can somebody else step up? Where's the Robert Taylor that we saw in the opening games? Where's the Joseph Martinez that we saw in the opening games? Where are these players? Facundo Farias, who came off. Huh? Where is he? What about Diego Gomez? What about those players? Is he just going to get yelled at by Messi? When are they going to step up? You need to constantly step up. Messi draws the attention. Help him.
What's interesting is that statistics say he played about as good a game as he has in Major League Soccer, right? He was the most dangerous, had the most completed passes. Like, every statistic was most since he joined the team. But the eyeball test would tell me, Herc, it was his worst performance. Would you agree? He was missing passes that Lionel Messi just doesn't miss. And that's why, again, I keep going back to this guy's just running out of gas.
He could be running out of gas, Seb, but I go back to the frustration. Listen, you saw it in the plays. They didn't give him the ball back. It's not like he's mother effing the player next to him or he's going up in his face. He's literally just one of these like, he didn't see it.
Right.
You missed it. Come on. One of those. And then after the game, Hani Mukhtar goes and asks him for his jersey. And I don't know if you caught it. Right
Yes.
after the game, Messi kind of brushes him off and tells him, like, in the tunnel. Like, he's getting fed up with the MLS fanboys as well. He's right now frustrated. A lot of it has to do with the gas. Like, the gas tank is coming on E, but it's understandable. The man is not a machine. Like,